Hello, my name is Grace. I'm 74 years old. Death came unexpectedly. What came after changed everything. In those moments beyond life, I encountered Jesus and witnessed a truth so devastating about our forgotten elderly that I couldn't stay silent. This isn't just my story. It's a wake-up call for all of us. Before I tell you what happened, I want to ask something simple. If you've ever felt forgotten or alone, or if you know someone who has, type Amen in the comments, or tell me where you're watching from. Let's remind each other that we're not truly alone. On March 11th, I died in my room at a nursing home. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Quiet, as usual. The kind of stillness that feels less like peace and more like being erased. I had just finished lunch, a tuna sandwich on white bread, no crust, and a tiny cup of peaches. I sat by the window, watching the parking lot. I do that most days. It's the only real outside I get. I was holding a photo in my lap. It was worn from being touched too many times, the edges curled, the colors fading. My family, all 5 of us at the lake. It was taken almost 30 years ago. Back when Harold was still alive, back when my kids still called me Mama and needed me for everything, back when I mattered. Harold's been gone 3 years now. He died quietly in his sleep, right next to me. We were married for 48 years. I still talk to him, in the quiet. I'll say, you wouldn't believe how quiet this place is, Harold, or how long the days can feel when no one comes. I have 3 children. Robert is 47, lives out in California, big shot tech guy now. He calls maybe once a month, usually on a Sunday afternoon when he's driving and half listening. Linda, my only daughter, is 45. She lives in Chicago. She has 3 grandbabies of her own now. She sends Christmas cards, sometimes a scarf, visits maybe twice a year. Then there's David. He's 42 and still here in Cedar Rapids. But he's going through a messy divorce, and I think he's just overwhelmed. I haven't seen him in months. The last time all 3 of them were in a room with me was Harold's funeral. Maybe you know what it's like to sit by a phone that never rings, or to wait by a door that never opens. Maybe you felt that sting when your birthday comes and goes, and there's no call, no card, just silence. Yesterday was mine. I turned 84. Not a single happy birthday, Mom. Just me, a cold sandwich, and that old photo in my lap. The nurses here try their best. They smile. They call me Miss Grace. They check my sugar and give me my pills. But you can tell when someone is paid to care. It's different. They're in and out. No time to linger. No time to really see you. There are 126 residents at the nursing home. I asked once. Most of them are just like me, parked here because we're too frail or inconvenient to manage. I don't blame my kids, not really. They say they're too busy to give me the care I deserve. But sometimes I wonder if they just can't stand to see me like this. Gray, slow, forgetful. Once I was their rock. Now I'm a shadow. Maybe you've wondered something like I did. If I disappeared, would anyone notice? That's the thought I had yesterday. Sitting by the window, photo in hand, whispering, God, do you even remember I exist? Have I become invisible? I think everyone has felt that way at some point. Like the world moved on without you. Like your best days are behind you, and now you're just waiting for the clock to run out. I spent 42 years as a school teacher, taught hundreds of children to read, to count, to believe in themselves. Parents would hug me and say, Miss Grace, you changed my child's life. I had purpose. Now, I'm just the woman in room 237, the one who talks to herself and forgets what day it is. I catch myself calling out Harold's name in my sleep. I forget where I've placed things. My joints ache. My sugar levels bounce around like a child on a trampoline. I've fallen twice in the last year. The last time I fell, was when David decided I couldn't live alone anymore. He brought all three of them together and made the decision. Mom needs 24-hour care, he said. No one asked me what I wanted. They just packed my things, gave away our dog Molly, and placed me here. At first, they promised to visit every week. They meant it, I think. But promises fade fast when life gets in the way. I used to read my Bible every morning. Psalms and Proverbs were my favorites. But after Harold died, and after the kids stopped calling, I stopped too. Not out of anger, out of silence. I prayed, and I heard nothing. I cried, and nothing changed. I used to feel God close when I looked at my students' faces or held Harold's hand at church. But lately, it's like I've been talking into an empty sky. So yesterday, I sat by the window. The sun was warm on my lap. I looked out at the cars coming and going, other families, other mothers getting hugs and flowers, and I just whispered, God, if you're still there, I need you to show me, please, because I'm fading, and I don't know how much longer I can feel this invisible. That's when it happened. A strange lightness came over me. At first, I thought I was falling asleep, but then everything felt heavy and far away. The photo slipped from my hand, my vision blurred, the room tilted. I tried to call for help, but my voice was caught in my throat. A sharp pain shot through my head, then silence. I collapsed, alone, on my birthday. But what happened next, what I saw next, was nothing I could have prepared for. It was not the end. It was only the beginning. The last thing I remember was the photo slipping from my hand. Then everything went still. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. There was a deep pressure behind my eyes, and my chest felt like it was caving in. I was afraid, truly afraid, not of dying, but of dying alone, of slipping away and no one noticing, no one holding my hand, no one saying goodbye. But then something strange happened. The pain eased, then disappeared. I was still there, but I wasn't. It's hard to explain. I could see myself. I was lying on the floor next to the window, one arm stretched out toward the photo. My face looked so small, fragile, my mouth slightly open, eyes unfocused. I wanted to panic, but I couldn't, because I wasn't afraid anymore. There was this stillness like floating in warm water. I felt held somehow, like invisible arms were cradling me and whispering, "It's okay, you can let go now." The room began to fade. The dull colors of that nursing home, those beige walls, the flickering fluorescent lights, the steady beep of machines down the hall, it all slipped away like fog in the sun. And then, light. Not a blinding, harsh light, but soft, gentle, like morning light streaming through a kitchen window on a quiet Sunday. I was standing, no pain, no cane, no shaking hands, just me, whole. I looked down, my hands, smooth, strong, younger, but still mine. The air felt like joy. There's no other way to say it. Every breath filled me with something I hadn't felt in years, peace that reached the deepest places of my soul. The loneliness, gone, the heaviness, lifted. Then I smelled something, coffee and cinnamon. I turned, and there it was, our old living room, not the one at the nursing home. No, this was home, the home where Harold and I raised our children, the place where love lived, the quilt on the couch, the ticking of the wall clock, the little creak in the wooden floor where I used to rock babies to sleep. And then I saw him. Harold. He was standing by the fireplace, smiling at me with that familiar crooked grin. The same one he had the day we danced in the kitchen just after Robert was born. He looked just like he did in his 50s, tall, full of life, eyes shining. "Gracie," he said. That one word broke something open in me. I ran to him, if you can call it running. It felt more like flying, like being drawn by the heart. He wrapped his arms around me and I sobbed, not from sadness, but from relief, from the years of missing him, aching for him, talking to a space that never answered, until now. I missed you so much, I cried into his chest. I know, he whispered. I've been with you every day. I pulled back and looked at him. Why did it hurt so much? Why did it feel like everyone forgot me? Even God? He cupped my face in his hands. Because love this deep leaves a mark. But Gracie, your life wasn't forgotten. You were never alone. Not for one moment. We sat in our favorite chairs, his old brown recliner and my floral rocker. He reached for my hand, just like he used to. I saw you watching the parking lot, he said gently. I saw you holding that photo, and every time your heart whispered, do they remember me? Heaven heard you. I couldn't stop the tears. All the weight of being invisible, of feeling like a burden, poured out of me. But there, in that moment, Harold's presence healed something I didn't know could be healed. He reminded me of mornings we made coffee together, of walking the kids to school, of how we taught them to love, even if they've forgotten how to show it now. You built a life of love, Grace, he said. That doesn't disappear. Not in death. Not in time. You planted seeds you can't even see. Then the light shifted. A warmth came over the room, deeper than before. Harold smiled, his eyes turning toward the hallway. He's coming, he said softly. The one who never forgot you. The one who's been waiting to show you everything. I turned toward the light, and that's when I saw him. I turned toward the hallway, where the light was growing brighter. It wasn't like any light I'd ever seen before, not from the sun, or a lamp, or even a fire. It didn't shine on things. It seemed to come from everything. Warmth, joy, love, all wrapped into something that made my whole soul lean forward. And then I saw him. Jesus. He wasn't what I expected, and yet, somehow, exactly who I'd always hoped he would be. He didn't walk in with thunder or fire. He didn't glow like the pictures we see in stained glass windows. He came in like a teacher stepping into a room full of students. He loves, with calm, with kindness, with full attention. He wore simple clothes, like a shepherd. His eyes, oh, his eyes, deep, dark, and full of something I can't describe. They didn't just look at me. They knew me. Every corner, every ache, every unspoken word I'd whispered into the dark. Grace, he said gently, with a voice that felt like music and water and home all at once. My knees buckled, but he was already beside me, holding my hands. I'm here, he said. You are not forgotten. You have never been forgotten. Tears poured down my face, not sad tears. Tears that felt like a lifetime of loneliness melting away. I thought you left me, I whispered. After Harold died, after my kids stopped coming, after the silence, I thought you didn't hear me anymore. He didn't argue. He didn't correct. He just held my hand tighter and said, I never stopped listening, not once. Every tear you cried landed in my hands. Every whispered prayer, even the angry ones, reached me. I've been waiting for this moment, Grace. I began to sob, like a child. All my years of being strong, being a mother, a teacher, a wife, all the holding it together just crumbled. Jesus didn't rush me. He let me break. When I could finally speak again, I asked, why did I have to be alone? Why did they leave me? Why did my children forget me? He looked into my eyes, and I saw sorrow there, not disappointment, but shared sadness, as if he had wept with me all along. My daughter, he said, you live in a world that moves too fast, a world that worships youth and strength, and forgets the quiet power of the elders. It is not my way, but the way of a culture that has lost its memory. He stretched out his hand, and suddenly I was seeing it. a vision, wide as the sky. I saw rooms like mine, dozens, hundreds, thousands, nursing homes full of faces staring at doors that never opened. Men and women just like me, whispering into silence, waiting, hoping, forgotten. Then I saw families, adult children juggling jobs, bills, responsibilities, overwhelmed, exhausted, guilty. I saw churches that no longer visited, communities that no longer made space for the elderly, a world that had traded connection for convenience. And yet, within that sorrow, I saw something else. Jesus whispered, "Look closer," and I did. I saw moments, little ones. A nurse kneeling beside an old woman, holding her hand during a storm. A child reading a letter from a grandparent and smiling. A son finally sitting beside his mother's bed, tears in his eyes. A woman leading a prayer group in a wheelchair. Love wasn't gone. It was just buried, covered by fear, by hurry, by forgetting. "These are my children," Jesus said. "You are one of them. You were a teacher, Grace, and now you are still needed. Your life is not over. It is changing." I looked at him, trembling. "But I'm tired. I'm old. I can barely remember some days. What do I have left to give?" Jesus smiled, deep, kind, knowing. "You have everything left to give. You have stories, wisdom, love. You have the power to remind the world what it's forgotten, that the elderly are not a burden. They are a blessing." He led me through memories, my classroom, the kids who used to run up just to hug me, the letters I got from students even years after they'd graduated. I saw Robert's first day of kindergarten, Linda curled in my lap after a nightmare, David calling me Mama while he tried to tie his shoes. "Your love shaped them," Jesus said. "Even if they don't show it now, it lives in them." Suddenly, I heard another voice. "Gracie, you were never invisible to me." Harold. He stepped forward, eyes wet with emotion. "You thought I was gone, but love doesn't end with death. I've watched over you. I've been waiting to tell you. Your pain wasn't wasted. It was seen. It matters." Then more voices came, soft, gentle, kind, children's voices, adult voices. One by one, I heard them. Former students, friends, neighbors, all saying the same thing. "You helped me. You made me feel seen. I never forgot you." I wept. Jesus said, "This is the truth, Grace. You are still helping, but the world needs to hear your story. There are many who feel as you did, alone, abandoned, worthless. You will help them remember that they are mine, that they are not forgotten." I shook my head, my heart torn in two. "But I don't want to leave. I've never felt love like this before." "I know," he said, his voice breaking a little with mine, "but love that stays hidden cannot heal the world. You've tasted heaven. Now go bring a piece of it back with you." I looked to Harold. He nodded, eyes shining. "Gracie," he whispered, "you're not going back to die. You're going back to live." Jesus took my face in his hands. "When you wake, it won't be easy. Your body will ache. Time will pass, but my spirit will stay with you, and the words I've spoken will be written on your heart." His eyes locked onto mine. "Tell them, Grace. Tell them they are not forgotten. Tell them I love them. All of them, especially the ones who think no one does." And just like that, the light began to fade. I cried out, "Please, just a little longer." But his final words wrapped around me like a warm blanket as the world began to shift again. "You'll see me again, my beloved. But first, go and remind the world what love looks like." I gasped. The air that rushed into my lungs felt sharp, cold, and heavy. My chest rose with a sudden jolt, and everything around me was loud. Machines beeping, voices shouting. hands pressing on my chest. Bright hospital lights burned my eyes. And just like that, I was back in my body, back in a world of pain and weight and time. I could hear a nurse calling my name. Grace? Grace, can you hear me? I blinked slowly. Everything hurt. My head throbbed and my limbs felt like stone. But I was alive, somehow, still here. And I wept, not just from the shock, but from the heartbreak of leaving that place, leaving him, Jesus, that classroom of light and laughter, the home where Harold held me, the voice that had called me beloved. I didn't want to be back. For a moment, I grieved like I never had before. I had touched heaven. I had felt perfect love. And now, I was once again inside a body that ached and a world that had forgotten me. But then I remembered his voice. Go and remind the world what love looks like. Those words held me steady, like a lifeline wrapped around my soul. He didn't send me back as punishment. He sent me back with a mission. The next few days were a blur of doctors, scans, and quiet awe. They said I had suffered a stroke and was clinically dead for 23 minutes. They were baffled. I shouldn't have come back, and I certainly shouldn't have come back with clearer speech, better memory, and stronger movement than I had in years. But I did, because God wasn't finished with me. Something changed in me right away. The bitterness that once sat like a rock in my chest, it was gone. The questions that haunted me, why did my children abandon me? Why doesn't anyone visit? They didn't echo the same way anymore. Because now I saw them differently. Robert, my oldest, was the first to call after hearing what happened. He cried. He kept saying, "Mom, I'm so sorry." I didn't know how bad it was. I just thought, you were okay. I didn't scold him. I didn't remind him how long it had been. I just said, I love you, Bobby, and I always will. He flew in that weekend. Linda drove down from Chicago the following week with her 2 grandbabies. She held my hand like she hadn't in years. We talked late into the night. She asked me to tell her stories from when she was little. I did. She cried when I said I forgave her for the distance, and that Jesus showed me she was still my daughter, even in the silence. David, sweet David. He came last. He sat quietly by my bedside. I could see the guilt all over his face. I was so angry at everything, he whispered. I didn't mean to take it out on you. You don't have to explain, I said softly. I'm still here, and I'm not going anywhere for a while. I don't see myself as a forgotten woman anymore. Now, I see myself as someone sent back with a message. After I returned to the nursing home, I asked the director if I could start a prayer group. At first, they weren't sure, but when I told them what I experienced, gently, simply, with love in my voice, they said yes. We meet every Thursday in the sunroom. We read scripture. We pray. But mostly we tell stories. Stories of life. Stories of regret. Stories of love. Some of the residents hadn't spoken much in months, and now they share things they've never told anyone. One man told me, Miss Grace, I didn't think God would want to hear from someone like me. I smiled and said, He's been listening this whole time. I started writing letters to my grandchildren, 1 each week, not to lecture or teach, but to share little pieces of who I am. I want them to know my voice, my heart. I want them to know they come from a long line of love. I began helping the staff set up a pen pal program with local schools. Kids send drawings, and we send stories back. Some of the residents have found new energy just waiting for their letters. You should see the way their eyes light up. And every morning, before the day begins, I sit by my window. But now, I don't look at the parking lot in sadness. I pray. I pray for the families rushing through life, for the children who are too busy to call, for the elders who sit quietly in their rooms and wonder if anyone remembers them. I also pray for the church, for our communities, that we would see our elders not as a burden, but as living history, as wisdom, as deeply loved children of God. I don't care much for things I used to. I don't worry about money, or what day it is, or how many aches I wake up with. I care about moments, about listening, about sitting with someone and truly seeing them. My priorities have changed. Family is more important than comfort. Relationships matter more than being right. Love is greater than time. And kindness, true, everyday kindness, is holy work. Sometimes people ask me, Grace, were you scared to die? And I tell them, no, because death isn't the end, not with Jesus. I'm not afraid of when that day comes again, because now I live with heaven in my heart. I carry it in every story I tell, every prayer I offer, every time I remind someone, you are not forgotten. So if you're watching this and you feel like I once did, left behind, invisible, wondering if anyone would notice if you were gone, I want to tell you something I now know for certain. Jesus sees you. He counts every tear. He knows your name. And he loves you more than you can imagine. He brought me back to remind you of that. And if you're listening to this, maybe, just maybe, he's reaching for you too.